All right. What's up, everybody? Some of you are sitting there looking, what is this blank screen? Didn't have the mic plugged in. So we are live again here on Facebook, YouTube. My name is Frederick Douglass Bussey, as you can see below. I'm the founder of Icon Status, a coaching and consulting company. And I wanted to talk about something that a lot of our clients are dealing with. And maybe you are dealing with this as well. If you have a business and you are stuck at 20, 30, $50,000 a month, you've grown to this point, but you can't really figure out how to hit that next point, right? One of the reasons can be something that is kind of staring you dead in the face and you don't really understand it. And so we're going to talk about one of those elements here today. We'll talk about more of those in coming videos and things of that nature, right? But let's say that your goal is to get to that magical number of $1 million, 7 figures, right? And maybe it's not. Maybe you just are looking for a little bit more breathing room in your business. Let's talk about why that's such a challenge for you, right? And so I want to give you two scenarios, basically. All right. The first one, let's imagine that this is your business, right? And let's imagine that inside of this is this box. That's not exactly a square, it's close, but we'll call it a square. All right. Now, inside of this box, you have everything, right? So your you've got your tasks to do, your work, you've got clients, you've got expenses, you've got marketing, whatever it is, right? So you've got all these different things that are going inside you. I guess I gotta drill this bigger, but hopefully you can see that, right? These are all the things that you have. Well, let's say that represents all the stuff that you have to do that has to go inside of filling up your business, right? Now, here's a challenge that a lot of other people have, right? Out here, you have LIFE, right? Life. And this is what we call margin. And most people are living here in the margin. And what happens when you get squeezed between these two things, right? I'll put it this way, and you can relate this to a job. A lot of people, they wake up in the morning, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, they get dressed, in the shower, they hop in their car, they fight traffic to get to work at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. And I know fewer and fewer people are doing that in the pandemic, but let's say even still that you're working from home, or whatever the case may be, you're still trying to pack into your day all the things you need to get done so that when you're done, if you got kids, you put the kids to bed, you've cleaned up the house a little bit, you hop down on the couch if you have any time left, and maybe you spend an hour on Netflix. Maybe on the weekends after you finish cleaning up the house or doing all the grocery shopping or whatever the case may be, maybe you get to go to the park or you get to go out to dinner or something like that, right? That's where all this stuff lives, right here on the margins. And that's where most people are. They're living their life in the margins. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to figure out, well, how can I create a little bit more breathing room, right? And so imagine when you first started your business and you were working, you were looking and you were saying, man, it would be great if I could just make $1,000 a month, $5,000 a month. That would be amazing, right? And maybe you grinded and you worked really, really hard and you got to $10,000 a month. And you said, oh, this is, if I could just get to 10,000, that would be great. And the reason why that happens is that because at every level, we start looking at, if I could get a little bit more space. And so we start imagining, well, what would it look like if I could get to 15 or 20,000? That would be amazing. That would be incredible, right? And so we're always looking at what those things are that can get us a little bit more breathing room. So we're just trying to stretch out here just a little bit more breathing room, right? And if we can do that, we feel like we can finally relax a little bit. And everybody wants to be able to relax. Now, some of us are super ambitious, super focused, and we're like, I definitely want to make $1 million a month, $1 million a year. So I definitely want to get to 7 figures, right? So we know that 7 figures is literally about $84K a month. All right. That's dollar figure. $1 million equals $84,000 a month. Now, if you're at 20,000, let's call you 20,000. You're actually doing around a quarter of that. So you're doing about $240,000 a year, right? Now, will we all agree that 84K is worth more than 20K, right? So if you're looking at what the margin is, 84K would look something like this if everything stayed the same, right? So let's imagine that box is the same. Now you got all the things that you're doing there, and this is what in our heads, this is what we think is happening. Great, if I can just get here, right? Whether it's 30K, 40K, 50K, we think I've created more margin. Great. I'm okay. The challenge is that that's not what happens. Because, and I think subconsciously we know this, subconsciously we recognize that even though that happens, that even though we've expanded the boundaries out here, the margin that we're getting, that we're bringing in, we're also forgetting the fact that this part grows as well. So now the work you have to do increases, right? You still got tasks, you still got work, you still got clients, you got expenses and marketing. And what happens as you grow, everything else grows too. So what we tend to do is I want to keep this part the same, but I want to grow this part out here. Now that would be ideal. But what if you could reverse all of that, right? And this is really a revolutionary idea based on how we are trained to think about things, right? If we could create an input where, what if instead of this being inside of here, we're living life in the margins, what if all of this was here? Well, how can that be? What about all the other things I have to do? I still have to do work. I still have to do lists. I still have to serve clients or get customers. I still have to deal with the expenses. I still have to get marketing. I've got to be able to grow. How am I going to be able to do that if I turn all of this into one thing? But here's the thing. We are stuck because we believe that this has to be finite and this is separate from this, when in reality, they are the same thing. We've been taught to believe that we have to work hard here to earn the right to live in the margins. And the key to expanding the margin is not to minimize this and figure out how you can get a little bit more space. You actually have to learn to think bigger, right? So see how much bigger 84K is, and this is not proportional, obviously, because this is 4 times as big. So, but if you're 4 times as big, you could fill this more space, right? How do you find the freedom to be able to do that? There's a couple of different ways. So our model is about creating momentum in your business. You guys can you see that? Might be stuck a little bit below the screen. I mean, tilt that a little bit. Okay. So the key to creating freedom is creating momentum. And the momentum comes through three different ways: mindset, influence, and leverage. I get people saying, hello, howdy, hello, how are you? Good. Now you guys, let me know if you're tracking with this because I want to make sure it's clear, right? These are the 3 elements. These really should overlap, but I'm horrible at drawing right now. So But these three elements are all crucial to being able to create this, to create more margin in your business. And so if you go 20K and you only add, let's say, +5, right? Now you're at 25K. But you haven't you created a little bit more margin, but every time you do that, you have to create an element of adding more tasks or more work and more clients. And so what we want to do is, what we teach in this model is actually how we can minimize this. So what if you just had one of these things to do, right? What if you knew there's just one way that you could actually explode all of this? Would you do it? Would that be helpful, right? And if you're watching this on Facebook, make sure you give StreamYard permission to use your name so I can see your name. I'm not in the other screen. Eventually, I'll have multiple screens so I can do that, but I don't have that. So I want to make sure I'm saying hello. So I'm saying good day, coach. Hello, coach. I see you, Chris. Awesome. I'm glad I can see, now you can see the screen. Okay, so these are the three elements, and they're actually, each of these elements has three pieces as well, right? And then each of these pieces has three pieces as well. I'm not writing them all out because it will be too small for you to see right now. And when I do, I'll do another video where I break out this whole model and you can kind of see it a little bit bigger, right? I got stuff all over the screen right now. But the idea is that each of these things is another thing that you have to be able to focus on and manage. But your key to being able to create more margin is not in doing more things, right? Because what we want to do is every time we do that, we're trying to pour more inside of here to create more margin out here. So we're trying to say, how can I put more in here so I can get more out here? And what I'm saying is what we have to do is we actually have to flip the model. And the model that we're going to be teaching through other videos and things like that is that what we want to do is we want to expand it so it's all the same thing. A lot of times when people start our businesses, and we forget this when we start a business, right? What's going on, Kim? Good to see you, bro. We start businesses often for the wrong reasons. We call it like side hustles, right? Or maybe it's a passion project and you are passionate about it, but you're doing it next to something else. And in reality, what we're trying to do is we're always creating things to try and get here to the margins, to get more, right? And what successful entrepreneurs understand is that they're actually flipping the model, right? So yes, you want to put in the work and the effort, and there is a bit of effort that is required to be able to push it forward in the beginning stages because you're getting the momentum going. And so, but typically that can't be where you're doing all the things, right? You can't focus on all that stuff at once. So the key is to understand what's the one thing I can focus on that where it expands and becomes all of this, right? When I can expand to make it all about freedom, when I can expand to make it all about impact, right? When I'm using all the influence, the mindset, the leverage, and it's all combining, I'm getting that momentum that I need to be able to create more margin in my life. So they say when you do something that you love, you never work a day in your life. The idea behind that is that if all the things that I'm doing, I'm passionate about, if all the things that I'm doing are actually creating more momentum and more energy in my business, then it's actually creating more margin because it's all margin, right? Margin is defined as room for error, room for expansion, room for growth, room to be able to move, to breathe, right? And so if you're stuck and you're saying, well, this is the room I can breathe in, but you're being squeezed into that space, you really don't have room to breathe. Your breathing isn't deep and free, right? Your movement isn't deep and free. Your thinking isn't deep and free. Your influence is limited. Your leverage is limited because you don't have space to move. And that's what's keeping you stuck at $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 a month, because what you've done is you hit the wall. You've hit the capacity that you can operate at for that space. I'm going to erase this right quick because I want to. If you're watching this on live and you want this, you can screenshot it by just going back and just rewind and screenshot it. But the thing that I want to show you is that as you're you're searching for more margin and creating more space. The thing that's really hindering you, checking for questions, the thing that's really hindering you is the belief that you have to do more to get more, right? And so there's the law of diminishing returns, right? So if you have this much space, right, in terms of time, this represents your day. You got 24 hours, right? That's it. That's all you got every single day. We tend to believe that, okay, well, I'm going to grind longer to get more. And so initially, when you start your business, that's what you learn to do. If I put in 2 hours, I need to put in 6 hours. If I put in 2 hours and I make $2,000, I put in 6 hours, I make $6,000. And so we believe in order to push forward to create more margin, we have to create more time, right? The input equals the output, but that's not true at a certain point, because what happens, right? When you wake up in the morning, think of this like your cell phone, right? So when you wake up in the morning, your cell phone's been charged all night long. It starts, and the battery is what? The battery is full. So let's say, but over time, the battery will start to diminish. So it starts out full, and it goes to empty, right? Now, what do you know that starts out full and goes to empty, or starts out empty and goes to full? 24 hours is all you have. And the battery is always going this way, which means that your performance is going down. So your performance is always the highest in the morning. And that's important because no matter how many things you do, for everything that you do, you're always draining the battery, right? So by the time, the more time you spend, the less battery you have. So all things are not equal. You're not always growing in terms of what you're creating. You're actually diminishing your power. So we talk a lot about people that wonder why they have less willpower, right? Less discipline in their lives. Why can't I get better results? I'm working hard, yes, but hard work wears you out. Now, there are certain things that you can do to energize yourself, but even at the end of the day, like I love coaching, but no matter how much I coach, after every session, I'm diminished a little bit in my energy. I may need to take a break, get some water, get a snack or something to recharge my energy so I can be fully present and focused for the next session. But every session diminishes me a little bit more. So I'm not going to be as sharp after 5 sessions as I would be after the first one, right? And so that's where we are. So in our businesses, we are pressing ourselves to the margin. And what happens is we don't recognize this. But when you hit a certain mark, when you're at 20,000 or 30,000, and if you're a solopreneur, or maybe you have a small team, right? The capacity that you have is limited by the input pit that you have. So you've only got, if your battery is only this big, you can only have that much energy. So what do you need? You need to learn how to leverage this battery to get more for every action, every input, every single situation. So that's, hopefully that's helpful for you. We're going to be talking more about that. I've got a challenge, the More Time, More Money challenge that's going to be coming up here as well. You'll have a chance to register for that. Matter of fact, my marketing people will be upset with me if I don't actually just drop that below. All right, so you can register there for that. There's also a free course that talks about 5 things that we do. We unlearn, we uncover, we unbox, we unleash the different elements of understanding how time and leverage works in our businesses. That's one thing you guys can sign up for if you want to. If you're watching this on replay, make sure you drop a hashtag replay in there so we can make sure I acknowledge you and make sure you're understanding and tracking everything that we're saying. This went much longer than I expected to go, but hopefully it's valuable for you. Let me know in the comments what you discovered through this video, if it's been helpful for you. If there's something else you'd like for me to unpack or do a training on or whatever the case may be, I'd love to do that as well. Good to see you, Laura, as well. Glad you could stop by. For all of you guys who found this video, shoot me a message if there's something that really stood out for you, or if you'd like to learn more about how you can work with me and the team here at Icon Status. Remember, the battery is always going towards empty. We have to figure out how we can leverage that, how we can create more margin, right? And that's not just about building a bigger box. It's about learning how to fill that box with more meaning, significance, impact, and power. All right. I'm Frederick Douglass Bussey. As always, ever forward. Good to see you too, Laura. Ever forward.